All right, I was the last video I concluded with talking about climates, and as I said in the last video, or was about to say, is that climate is the overall average weather patterns that you can expect over a large number of years. It's not something that happens just once and just goes away. Sometimes you hear people talk about climate change, and a given snowstorm, especially here in the South, will indicate, that you hear people talking about that's an indication of climate change, and it's really not. You have to have something that's happening over many, many years. Okay, it can't just happen. It snows a lot one particular winter, and that's climate change. Okay, there's many different obvious factors that go into this, and some of this stuff. I think I covered this last time, but anyhow, is the angle at which the sunlight comes in, which of course is due to the tilt of the Earth, and the number of hours of daylight. Obviously, that's a big factor. What this is determining, what the groups are, the particular climate groups, and part of the problem is deciding where where you do have a particular climate, and it just doesn't abruptly end. Okay, and I think I covered this last time as well. So these are the different climate zones. Notice as we talked about before, between the latitudes 10 degrees and above and below the equator, you have the tropics, where hot air is rising and falling in this area here, above and below the equator, and these are generally considered the dry zones. And then you have again wet zones, where you have a good amount of precipitation, and therefore your agriculture. Notice, of course, right across the United States is one of those places where you can grow a lot of things. This is why climate. One of the reasons climate is extremely important to humanity. Let's see. Obviously, there's other factors such as the altitude, and whether you have a mountain range, in between you and the prevailing winds and things like that. Let's move on here. Water can greatly influence the climate. One of the things that I want to talk about just briefly is this thing way out here in the Pacific, which is known as El Nino, which is a warming trend that happens. It's unpredictable exactly when it's going to happen, but you get these particular warm cells, large cells in the ocean near the equator, way out in the Pacific, and that can influence the climate of, for example, the southeast. Our region of the country gets very wet winters. It tends to, let's put it that way, it tends to cause very wet winters in the southeast, as well as particularly dry seasons in like Indonesia and Australia on years in which El Nino manifests itself. So that's a particular climate change that comes from the ocean. And this is what I was saying before, that there's no sharp boundaries between these climate zones. It doesn't like just suddenly abruptly end, so it's a little difficult sometimes. All right, let's skip this, and let's see, skip that. So this is really what I wanted to talk about a little bit, is this idea of climate change. And you hear a lot about this, specifically in the news. There's a lot of discussion about what exactly is going on in the world overall. In particular, they talk about the human created carbon dioxide that's been added to the atmosphere, and that is a something that obviously humans could control more. One of the biggest polluters are automobiles, and this is something we really have to consider. Of course, it's one of the factors. There's many factors, such as sunspots. This is something that humans have no control over whatsoever. The number of sunspots seem to affect the weather on the Earth, which is kind of strange. The small number of sunspots can cause winters to be particularly harsh. The Earth's tilt, the shape of the orbit, the axis of our, the axis that we revolve around, through the North and South poles, actually wobbles. Now, it's a very slow wobble. This is more of an astronomical topic, but that wobble takes 26,000 years to complete one cycle. So, as I said, it's very slow. But that, if you think about geological time, that can have an effect. Water vapor is obviously the main greenhouse effect. Carbon dioxide, and then there's other gases like methane. Now, water vapor, of course, as we talked about with the hydrologic cycle, water vapor comes out of the atmosphere. That's a natural process. But the thing is, carbon dioxide also comes out, but humans are pumping more carbon dioxide into the atmosphere than ever before, and it doesn't seem that as though nature is keeping up with that. And so we've been monitoring carbon dioxide levels in the atmosphere at least since the 1950s, and we tend to see that there's a definite rise in the amount of carbon dioxide, and that's what this is, this overall concern that humans have about what's called global warming. All right, and then well, there it is. So much so, the United Nations has established this panel to study it. This is something that is hard to do something about, obviously, because you want people to have jobs and to be industrialized, throughout the world. Of course, the United States, of course, has been industrialized for a long number of years. But as more and more countries, India and China, I'm thinking of in particular, and their booming populations, as they become more and more industrialized, we're pumping more and more carbon dioxide, because of course we have a fossil fuel based economy across the world. It's not just the United States. And what do we do about that? I mean, what does the human race do about that, if anything? I mean, we'll someday there won't, some of the predictions are that someday there won't be any ice at the poles because of this overall global warming, and I don't know. It remains to be seen. All right, so that's it for now.